The neon sign of Maggie's Diner flickered faintly in the cool evening breeze, buzzing like an old tune. It was the kind of place travelers pulled into off the highway when they were too tired to go farther. Inside, the scent of coffee and grilled bacon lingered in the air, mixed with the faint clatter of cutlery and the soft hum of a jukebox in the corner. Emily adjusted her apron, balancing a tray of coffee cups as she moved between tables. She had been on her feet since morning, her smile hiding the exhaustion in her bones. At 24, life hadn't been kind. Her mother's hospital bills and her own unfinished nursing degree weighed on her shoulders, but she kept going. She worked because she had no other choice. The bell above the door jingled, breaking her thoughts. She looked up, and froze. An elderly man stood at the entrance, hesitating like someone who had forgotten why he'd walked into the room. His clothes caught her attention first, an old tweed coat, tailored with precision, though frayed at the edges now. A once elegant scarf drooped from his neck, and his polished shoes bore the dust of long wandering. His face was thin, his hair silver, his eyes clouded with a confusion that tugged at Emily's heart. For a moment, the other diners glanced at him and went back to their meals, uninterested. But Emily noticed the trembling in his hands, the way he clutched a folded piece of paper like it was the only anchor keeping him steady. She set down her tray and hurried over. "Sir, are you all right?" she asked softly, careful not to startle him. The old man blinked at her, his lips moving before words came. I can't seem to find my way home. My son, he was supposed to pick me up, but I don't remember where I'm supposed to wait." His voice cracked, carrying both embarrassment and fear. Emily's chest tightened. She had seen this look before, back when she volunteered briefly at a care home for the elderly during her college years. It was the look of someone who was lost, not just physically, but inside their own mind. "Please, sit," she said, guiding him to a booth by the window. "Let me get you something warm to drink." He nodded faintly, his frail body sinking into the seat as though relieved someone had noticed him. Moments later, Emily returned with a cup of hot tea instead of water. She set it gently in front of him. "It's chilly tonight. This should help." The old man smiled weakly. "You're kind, kinder than most." His voice trailed off as his hand trembled, almost spilling the cup. Emily steadied it for him before sliding into the seat across from him, ignoring the fact that her shift wasn't over. "What's your name, sir?" she asked softly. He hesitated, as though searching through a fog. "Henry," he finally said. "Henry Grant." Emily gave him a reassuring smile. "It's nice to meet you, Henry. I'm Emily." Henry unfolded the paper he had been clutching. It was crumpled and smudged, the ink blurred until only fragments of an address could be made out. Emily frowned, trying to decipher it. A partial street name, something like Rose, or Rosedale, was visible, but the rest had bled away in the rain. "Don't worry," she said gently, setting the paper aside. "We'll figure this out." Henry's eyes filled with a strange vulnerability. "People, they get impatient when I ask for directions. Sometimes, they don't even answer. It makes me feel like I don't belong." Emily swallowed hard. She thought of her own mother, often ignored by nurses when she was weak and in pain. The memory fueled her resolve. "You do belong, Henry. Everyone deserves kindness. And tonight, you're not alone." He stared at her for a long moment, his eyes glistening with unspoken gratitude. While he sipped the tea, Emily worked quickly, signaling to the other waitress, Carla, to cover her tables. Carla raised an eyebrow but nodded, used to Emily's soft heart. As the minutes passed, Henry opened up slowly, in fragments. He spoke of the past, of a grand home with tall windows, of gardens where he used to walk every morning. He spoke of his son, who was always busy, and though he tried to hide it, there was a sadness in his tone, a loneliness that seeped through every word. Emily listened, nodding, offering little reassurances. She realized quickly that Henry wasn't just lost on the streets, he was lost in life, too, in the silence that loneliness carves into a person's heart. When her shift ended 30 minutes later, Emily made her decision. She pulled off her apron, wrapped her coat tighter, and said firmly, "Henry, I'll walk with you. We'll find your home together." He looked startled. "Oh, no, child. You've done enough. I couldn't ask you to." "You didn't ask," she said with a gentle smile. "I'm offering. And I won't feel right leaving you here alone." Henry's lips quivered, and for a second Emily thought he might cry. Instead, he nodded, slipping his arm through hers as she helped him to his feet. The night was cool, the street lamps glowing dimly as they stepped outside. Emily tightened her scarf around Henry's neck. Better. He chuckled softly. You remind me of someone. My late wife, she used to fuss like that. Together, they walked. They stopped at small shops, asking if anyone recognized the address fragment. Most shrugged. Some ignored them. But Emily never gave up, guiding Henry patiently, speaking to him warmly to keep his spirits steady. Finally, after nearly an hour of wandering, Emily spotted a gated mansion at the end of a quiet lane. The brass plate by the gate bore the name of the very street she had guessed from the smudged paper. This might be it, Emily whispered, her heart lifting. Henry's face lit up, relief flooding his features. Yes, this is home. His voice trembled with joy. As they approached, headlights cut across the driveway. A sleek black car pulled in, braking sharply. The driver's door flung open, and out stepped a tall man in an expensive suit, his face pale with panic. Father! The man cried, rushing forward. His voice was sharp with worry, his movements frantic. He reached Henry, gripping his shoulders. Where have you been? I was terrified. Emily froze mid-step. Father! The suited man's relief was palpable as he hugged Henry tightly. For a moment, the mask of power and control slipped, revealing raw fear and love. Then his eyes lifted, and locked on Emily. There was gratitude in them. But also something more. In that moment, Emily realized the lost man she had guided home was no ordinary elder. He was the father of Alexander Grant, one of the city's most powerful billionaires. The tension of the moment lingered like electricity in the air. Emily stood awkwardly at the edge of the Grant mansion's driveway, unsure if she should quietly slip away. Henry, however, still clung gently to her arm, his frail hand holding onto her as if afraid she might vanish. Alexander Grant, the billionaire whose face often graced business magazines, seemed unrecognizable in that instant. He wasn't the powerful mogul the world admired or feared. He was just a son, one who had nearly lost his father. His perfectly tailored suit, his polished shoes, even the imposing car he'd stepped out of, all of it faded into the background compared to the raw emotion in his eyes. Father, Alexander whispered again, kneeling slightly to meet Henry's tired gaze. You scared me half to death. I only turned away for a call, and when I looked back, you were gone. I thought. His voice cracked, breaking the flawless image he carried. Everywhere. Henry patted his son's cheek with trembling fingers. I wasn't alone, Alex. She stayed with me. He turned toward Emily, his eyes soft and wet. This young lady, she gave me kindness when I was lost. Alexander's eyes followed his father's hand, landing squarely on Emily. For a moment, silence hung between them. Then, in a tone that was both formal and sincere, he said, Please, come inside. You've done more for us tonight than you know. Emily hesitated, instinctively shaking her head. No, I really should go. Please, Alexander insisted, his voice firmer this time but still laced with gratitude. Just for a few minutes. At least let me thank you properly. Henry tightened his hold on Emily's hand. Stay, child. It would mean a lot to me. Caught between their pleas and her own humility, Emily relented. All right. Just for a moment. Inside, the mansion felt like stepping into another world. The chandeliers glittered like falling stars. Marble floors gleamed, and paintings worth more than Emily could earn in a lifetime lined the walls. The warmth of the grand fireplace contrasted with the cold awe she felt. She had never seen such wealth, not even on television. A housemaid rushed forward, fussing over Henry, but he brushed her off. I'm fine. Emily took good care of me. He guided Emily to the dining table, almost regal despite his frailty, and insisted she sit. Emily obeyed, her hands twisting nervously in her lap. Within minutes, the staff served a simple meal for Henry, soup, bread, and tea. But Henry refused to eat until Emily was given something as well. Bring her a plate, he ordered softly but firmly. Emily protested. No, really, I don't need. Nonsense, Henry said, his voice surprisingly strong. You shared your time with me. Now, share a meal. So, Emily sat beside him, watching as he ate slowly, his appetite returning with the comfort of home. Alexander stood near the head of the table, silent, his sharp eyes flicking between his father and Emily. It was as though he were studying her, trying to understand the kind of person who would stop her own work to care for a stranger. Finally, Alexander broke the silence. You had no reason to help him. Most people would have ignored him, maybe even taken advantage. But you didn't. Emily glanced at him, her voice calm yet firm. He needed someone. That was reason enough. Her words hung in the air. Alexander's expression softened, the calculating edge replaced by something vulnerable. People don't usually talk to me like that, he admitted. They either flatter me or fear me. But you didn't even know who he was. Emily smiled faintly. He wasn't a billionaire's father to me. He was just a man who needed help. Henry chuckled, dipping his bread into the soup. Alex, you spend billions on skyscrapers and companies, but this young lady gave me something far more valuable tonight. Her time, her patience, her compassion. Something money can't always buy. Alexander swallowed hard, visibly moved. He lowered himself into a chair across from Emily, his hands clasped together on the table. You've done something for my family I can never repay. But I want to try. Emily's heart pounded. She shook her head quickly. No, I don't want repayment. I didn't do this for anything in return. That's exactly why I must, Alexander countered, his voice carrying the weight of finality. Tell me, Emily, what is it you want for yourself? Not money, not gifts, your dream. What is it? She froze. No one had ever asked her that before, not with sincerity. Her throat tightened as she whispered, I want to be a nurse. To take care of people. But tuition is expensive, and I've been saving little by little. It'll take years. Alexander leaned back, his sharp gaze never leaving her. Silence stretched before he finally said, then consider it done. I'll cover your tuition, your books, everything you need. From today, you won't have to work double shifts. Emily's eyes widened in shock. What? No, I can't accept that. You don't even know me. Henry reached across the table, placing his frail hand over hers. Child, sometimes kindness deserves kindness in return. Let us do this. You gave me dignity when I felt small and forgotten. Don't deny me the chance to give back. Emily's eyes blurred with tears. For years, she had struggled in silence, balancing bills, debts, dreams too big for her reality. And now, in a single evening, a door she thought forever closed had been flung wide open. I don't know what to say, she whispered. Say yes, Alexander said simply. His tone was steady, but his eyes held an earnestness she hadn't expected from a man of his stature. At last, Emily nodded, tears slipping down her cheeks. Thank you, truly. Henry smiled warmly, leaning back in his chair, satisfied. See, Alex, sometimes the richest people are not those with the most money, but those with the kindest hearts. Tonight, I've been blessed by both. Alexander's gaze lingered on Emily, something unspoken flickering in his eyes. Respect, admiration, perhaps even the beginning of something deeper. That night, as Emily finally stepped out of the mansion and walked home under the quiet stars, her world felt utterly changed. She hadn't just helped a lost elderly man find his way, she had unknowingly rewritten the path of her own life. And for the Grants, who lived in a palace of glass and gold, she had reminded them of the one truth wealth often makes people forget: compassion is priceless.